Hi everyone, this is Tuplex. Welcome back. I'm standing here in the rocket bay, and we're launching rockets like crazy, which is a good thing. If I look in our storage, one of the things you'll notice is that I have 34,000 yellow science packs. That's because when I set up the yellow science packs, I forgot to put a limit on the output to the chests, and some of the chests are practically full, and then some of them don't have anything inside. See? That is crazy. And the bots, I guess, are pulling from the closest one. So even though I've got many thousands in here, some of these are still producing. So I think it might be better if I just put a limit on these. So if we just enable when I've got less than, I don't know, let's say 500. And then that'll get those guys to stop. I probably should have done it that way with all of them, rather than just use the lazy method of limiting the chests. But that's how it goes sometimes. All right, so then we can put some in there, we can put some in there, we can put some in there. Why am I doing this? I'm not really sure. I don't think this serves any purpose. Okay, so we'll just throw them in storage. Okay, so what this is going to mean is that when I start looking at my production statistics, the numbers for the yellow science packs are not going to be reflective of what we can really do, because for a little while at least I'm not going to be making any of them. Okay, so in research, I'm doing nothing but mining productivity right now. Since the last time I recorded, I think I did 1 or 2 levels of that. I also did an additional level of energy weapon damage, because that was 16,000 science packs minus the 20% productivity bonus we get with the productivity modules in the labs. Means that I did that for about, I don't know, about 13,000 science packs. So I had that many stocked up in the main base, or in the starter base, and I brought those over here. And you can see over here I am stockpiling them. I upgraded all of this to faster machines. I put in some modules and a few beacons to speed it up, since this is really the only thing that we're producing in the starter base right now, with the exception of whatever we're doing in the mall. So I've got 4.7K banked up again. Okay, and then as soon as we get, let's see, 32,000 minus the 20%, let me calculate that real quick. So it'd be 32 divided by 1.2. So we need 26,667 science packs to do this research. So as soon as we have that massive quantity stocked up over here, then I'll go and do that. I'll just put them in a train and take them over there. Let's see, what else? This is going to be, I think this is going to be the penultimate episode of the series. I'm just going to talk about some of the tweaks and optimizations that I've done since the last episode. I think we're at the point where doing serial episodes showing the work that I'm doing is going to become a little bit less interesting, because all I'm doing now is I'm just chasing down little issues and bottlenecks and fixing them one at a time. So I'm I'm spending a lot of time just kind of cruising around the base and looking at things rather than actually building, since the base is pretty much built. So I'll just discuss some of those things that I've done recently, and we'll look at where we are now. And then between now and the final episode, I might make a few more little tweaks, and then we'll do a base tour and just kind of summarize how things have ended up. So I did add more power. So there used to be a lake over here, which fortunately was long enough for me to get my water channel that I need for this reactor design. And it looks like, are we having a power shortage again? Yeah. Wow. Every time I think I have enough. Okay, so I'm going to need more power, I think. We're running at a little over 8 gigawatts right now. We're not draining the accumulators yet, but we're starting to see that issue where not all the turbines are running, which I never really did get to the bottom of. I think it's related to some of the fluid mechanics changes that they made for version 0.17. Because I used this exact same design a lot in previous versions and never had problems like this. Each one of these should put out 1.2 gigawatts with no problem. And I've got 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. I've got 9 of them plus another smaller one. So I should be able to put out like around 10 gigawatts without any trouble, but we're not getting there with this. So I think before I do another large base, I'm going to have to spend some time researching nuclear power and see if I can find a different design. And then what I'll probably do is I'll just extend my bot network out to this lake, and I'll throw down a couple more of those arrays so that we don't have any power shortages. On uranium, we're running low on uranium ore. So I think another thing that would be smart to do would be to tap into this patch down here and just run a small train up here so we can continue to do the processing in the same place and not have to move everything. But we're at that 13-to-1 ratio that I wanted between the two types of uranium. So that's why we're not doing any Covarex enrichment. And I've got 3,300 uranium-235 available. Oh, you know what? I should put productivity modules on those. That would make that... I should have done that a long time ago, actually. That would make that patch last much longer. Let's go do that before I forget. Maybe I actually won't have to get more fuel since we're not going to be playing on this base for much longer. Let's go back to the main base. Okay, so you can see we've got a lot of trains waiting. And while at first it might seem like this is a good thing because I'm producing way more than I'm using, I think what this really means is that there's one particular item that we're short of. And if I look at my signal here, when I look at the negative numbers, I can see that we're waiting for rocket fuel. And that's been the case for a while. So what I'd done recently is I came down here to the refinery, and I saw that rocket fuel was not producing very quickly. A lot of these machines were idle. And part of the reason was that the light oil was running low, and the petroleum tanks were all full, which means that the refineries weren't running. So what I did is I added a pump on the petroleum that says that if we get more than, I think, 50,000 total in these tanks, then it's going to pump out petroleum, and I'm going to turn it into solid fuel which is what I'm doing over here. So that way we would get more solid fuel if the light oil runs out. And I can see that heavy oil is nearly run down as well. I've got plenty of lubricant. So that's probably all turned into light oil. Yeah, because I'm not holding back any heavy oil to make lubricant. It'll just naturally get to that machine first. Okay, so this way the refineries are mostly all running nonstop, but not quite. It might help to put some pumps to push the light oil through a little bit quicker. I put a couple pumps on the petroleum line just to help push the fluid through faster into the tanks, because a lot of the refineries would get backed up on petroleum, even though the tanks were empty. It was just they just had to stop and wait for the petroleum to flow out. So I put some pumps to make it flow more quickly. And then I added 4 more machines making rocket fuel. One thing I didn't take into account is the fact that we're using the rocket fuel to fuel all of the trains as well. And I didn't add any additional production because I assumed that the quantity of rocket fuel that we use for that would be trivial. But I think it's not trivial. I think we're using a lot more than I had suspected. Actually, one thing we could do, let's go to our production statistics and let's look for rocket fuel. Production and rocket fuel. All right, if we look at science pack per consumption, it's 1,000 a minute. And that was our goal. So at least for a period of 10 minutes, we're doing pretty well. And actually even the production is 1,000 per minute, at least for the last 10 minutes. I wanted to have it sustain that for an hour. We're getting close if we look at it over an hour. We're getting pretty close. Close enough that I would say that the design of the base is probably good enough to make it. This number on the purple science packs is low because when I did the laser research, it didn't use any purple science packs, so that stopped producing for a little while. So it'll take a bit before that average comes back up to equal the rest of them. But for now, it's looking quite good. Okay, the rocket fuel is not looking quite good. You can see how it's a little bit spiky. So we're making about 700 a minute. Let me go to my calculator and see what we should be making. Rocket fuel, rocket fuel. And I don't see it anywhere. I know it's there. I'm just scrolling past it. There we go. Yeah, we need 840 per minute. So we're definitely short on the rocket fuel. Okay, so I think we should go down there and do some more work on the refinery, because that's really holding up all the rest of the base. I mean, we're still getting stuff done at a good pace, but pretty soon we are going to run into shortages. Let's see, how much rocket fuel do I have in storage? Yeah, almost none. All right, so I got all this other stuff just waiting to come in, but it's not going in because it's not needed yet. And it's because the factory's not quite running as fast as it should, because we're waiting on rocket fuel. Although if I look up here, I can see that all the labs are running. So as long as all the labs are running, we're in good shape. That's really the ultimate test, because that's, at the end of the day, that's what this factory is designed to do, is just to conduct research in the labs, right? Okay. So let's take a look down here. let's start by looking at our oil supply. The oil supply is low. That would explain things, wouldn't it? But why is it low when I have 2 full tanks up there? It's just not pumping down fast enough. So maybe some more pumps would help with that. So let's try that. Starting with that one. And actually, let's put this one here. And I need more pumps. For pumps, I need engines. I don't have the ingredients to handcraft any of it. All right, I'm going to have to go back to the main base and get more pumps. But let's see if that helps at all. Yeah, see, we're waiting for oil. Okay. Well, it's good that this is how you find and improve these bottlenecks. You start at, well, I shouldn't say you start at the first part of the chain. You actually start at the end of the chain and work your way backwards. So for example, I started here by looking at my negative numbers, which are the ones that I'm short on, and I can see that the one big negative number is the rocket fuel. Okay, so that's starting at the end of our production chain. I see that the rocket fuel is the problem. I come down here, I look at the rocket fuel machines. I don't see anything wrong with them except they're not getting solid fuel fast enough. I have enough machines, right? The solid fuel producers are not all producing. We come over here, we see that our light oil tanks are nearly empty. We've got plenty of petroleum. We are burning off some of that, but you know, we don't want to be making all of this from petroleum. Although it looks like these things are filling up again, so maybe I should. Oh, okay, those are the machines that are cracking. And which ones are making the fuel? Oh, okay. So that's the other thing that I should do is put a control on the oil cracking so that I don't crack everything. Need some steel. Okay, so let's go do that. Let's go put some logic so that we don't send light oil to be cracked unless it really backs up. Because I've got, yeah, that's the mistake that I made. Instead of sending petroleum to turn into solid fuel, if I had done that, I wouldn't be having this problem. Because what's happening is some of the light oil, I really want all the light oil to be used to make solid fuel first, and then if there's any left over, turn it into petroleum. But instead of doing that, I'm just allowing some uncontrolled quantity of it to be turned into petroleum, which I already have tons of, and then the petroleum backs up and the refineries slow down. And then I also have the issue that I need more oil, so we'll get to that as well. All right, so let's fix this thing. All right, so this pipe comes down here, and that goes into my cracking machines. And then this oil, yeah, that all goes to the solid fuel makers. Okay, so let's get out our, I can't believe I missed that. Let's hook all these tanks together and then to that. All right, so these hold 25K each, so this will hold 150,000 light oil altogether. All right, so let's turn on the cracking when the light oil is greater than 100,000, let's say. Okay, and in the meantime, the light oil will all be used to make solid fuel. And then I'll continue to burn off excess petroleum. Actually, let's make this 100,000. In fact, I'm going to make this 125,000. Because it's really not a good use of... This is really not a good use of the petroleum. But I want to make sure that that we don't get backed up. Okay, let's see how we're doing now. All right. Now all the solid fuel makers are making. Good. This looks better. Let's look at our production graph again. Let's look at the last minute. Blue line. No, the blue line is still low. Let me let me clear the filters here and just turn on the rocket fuel. Yeah, look at that. So we went from all this up and down, starting and stopping, to now maintaining. And for the last minute, we've been producing a 944, 945, which is well in excess of what we need to run the base. It's not well in excess. It's a decent safety margin. Okay, and it looks like I'm getting more oil too. I did add. Previously, we only had this one oil outpost. Where's the train for that, by the way? Oh, okay. It's up there getting filled. And then I added another one over here. Where's that train? It looks like it's on its way back there to get another delivery. I've got a bunch of oil there. I've got a really nice patch there. It's kind of out of range of my defenses, so I'll see if I can make this work without going outside. Oh, here's another one. This one's not bad. Almost 2,000%. Okay. Well, we'll see how we do here. All right. Yeah, so the tanks are doing good. Actually, let's just... I want to put a couple more pumps up there, like I did here. Let's do the same thing on these tanks as well. There. Although maybe that's kind of redundant. Pump, pipe, pump. It probably is. Yeah, I think that's redundant. I've already got... There we go. And here comes the next train. Okay, so we're burning through a lot of oil now. It might slow down a bit once we catch up. Okay, let's go take a look now. All right, yeah, we're almost out again. Okay, let's go back to the main base and put the productivity modules in the uranium processing. Assuming I can. I'm imagining that the reason it's not there already is just because I didn't do it and not because you can't. All right. Yeah, laser turret damage is plus 580% now. That's pretty good. I wonder what our evolution is. 98.69%. I don't think it's ever... Maybe it never gets to 100. I don't know if it's how do you call that? Asymptotic. You know, like the curve gradually approaches 100%, but never actually reaches it. All right, well, they definitely take productivity modules. Okay. Right, so this patch has 661,000 in the ground. I get 170% mining productivity. So that turns it into a couple million. Like you can see here, I get the productivity almost twice for every single ore that I pull out of the ground, which is pretty good. That's why mining productivity is such a great upgrade to do. Okay, well, some of these down at the end are full, some of them are not. That's strange. Yeah, those are all nearly full. But anyway, that'll help. Having that extra productivity will help it last even longer than it will otherwise. Because we'll be able to get 20% more uranium bits from the unprocessed uranium ore. Okay, let's go back to the rocket area and see what else we need to do. All right, so I'm going to clear this, and let's clear out the rocket fuel. I guess I did that already over here. So let's look at our science pack production again. All right, and yellow has dropped off of the 10-minute list because I haven't made any in 10 minutes or more. So let's look at an hour. I mean, again, it's not going to look right because we've been so backed up. Those are modules. Okay, we're still low on rocket fuel. Let's go take a look at that train. Okay, it should be en route then. Okay, well, it looks like all the machines are running. So as long as that continues to be the case, then I suppose we're making them fast enough. Okay, we're not making any more. Oh yeah, we are still making some from petroleum, are we? All right, nice. We got lots of light oil now. More than we need. We've got lots of petroleum. Okay, and you can see that the light here is just flickering on and off, so that means that we're right at the 100,000 mark. So we're just pushing out a little bit of oil to crack into petroleum, and all the rest of it is going to make our solid fuel. which we use to make the rocket fuel. Yeah, so we're doing fine. I think the only thing that might slow us down a little bit would be the train ride. So one thing I can do, shoot, I was trying to make a copy of that train. I can add another train for the rocket fuel. Not there, sorry. All right, let's try that again. There we go. All right, I'll just give you some solid fuel to get started. So let's make another train for the rocket fuel, so that way I'll copy paste. That way it'll shorten the amount of time that we have to wait for the next train full of rocket fuel to get here. Okay, and then I'll just send this immediately over to rocket fuel out. It's just got a little bit of solid fuel now, but once it gets there, it'll get full of rocket fuel. I'm getting more and more of alerts of things being destroyed, and I see that my construction robots, I should probably go around and try to refill the construction bots. Okay, yeah, so there's a train. Yeah, so ideally I'd like to have, I think with 2 trains will be okay. That way we don't have to wait, because once it gets full, the train has to go over there. I mean, I'm not sure if, maybe that's not slowing us down, because we would know that the number of trains would be slowing us down if we had more than enough to fill a train here before the train arrived. But that's not the case. I've got enough bots. It just seems to be kind of slow, doesn't it? Right, I've got 42 machines making the rocket fuel. I need 37.6. So we're doing fine there. That's for 800 and something per minute. I'm making 900 and something per minute. And I have been on a sustained basis. So I'm making enough. Maybe my train fuel is even worse than I thought. Let's see what consumption is on the rocket fuel. 833. Okay, so that means at least for the last 10 minutes, I'm making it faster than I consume it. So that, okay, good. There's another train. So maybe that, so hopefully that negative number on rocket fuel will be getting smaller and smaller. Okay, yeah, so now it's minus 1K. That's the closest to positive that I've seen it in a while. So I think we're on the right track. And again, the proof will be in the science packs. Okay, we're making them pretty quickly. I think it'll be a while before we make any more yellow ones. We're consuming 1,000 a minute. Our 1 hour statistics are almost 1,000 per minute, which was the goal. And you may remember that I designed the base for 1,100. so that we would have a bit of a safety factor, to account for things like travel time of the trains and all that sort of stuff. I knew that there would be... Whoa. Okay, let's get some copper. This is one thing I don't like. Like here I've got 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. I have 6 trains with copper plates waiting to get in. And ideally they would be going in one at a time as needed. But what happens is that as soon as that signal goes out that we need copper, they all start to go. And then we unload all the copper at once. Right? So we're going to have a lot more than the 32,000 target quantity of copper. Yeah, I've got almost 100,000 now. There we go. I guess that's okay as long as I have enough storage. It does put a bit of a strain on the bots. Now here's another thing. We've done all this vanilla. I think if I was gonna call this like step 2 and say, okay, now let's go for 10,000 or something, I think at that point I would be very tempted to find a mod that improves the bot charging system. Because the amount of time that the bots spend charging, I think it's a little too much. I mean, look at all these roboports I have everywhere. And it's just to charge them. It's not because, part of it is to extend the range, but, I've got, let's see, how many roboports do I have on this map? I have 1.1k roboports active in the map. And probably only 10% of those are to get me the range that I want, and all the rest of it is just for charging, because these things only charge, 4 at a time. So I think if I was gonna continue on this base for a while, like if I was one of those guys that would work on a base for a year or more, which I'm not, but I do admire. I would probably look for a mod that buffs up the robot charging a little bit. Not a lot, but just, maybe 25%, 50% would make a huge difference. Yeah, and I lost another bot. And look at this, I'm almost out of lanes here. How many trains do I have? 3, 6. Okay, I've got, only 12 trains coming here? That's not right. Oh, okay. 3, 6, 9, 12, 15, 18, 21, 24, 27, 28. Okay, so we have 28 trains that come here, and I have 26 slots for them. And I think that's enough. There should never be a situation where all the trains have to wait. Let's see how our rocket fuel's doing. Still running low, but I still have some. So as long as the inventory doesn't get to 0, then we're doing it fast enough. Right? So train pulls in before we run out. So I think that number might always be even if we start making enough, I think that number will probably always be the lowest one for a while, just because that's the one that I let run out. And while that one ran out, all the other commodities were able to kind of stockpile a bit because they weren't getting consumed as fast as they should have. So I think rocket fuel is going to be the one that is closest to running out for quite a while. Let's see how many yellow science packs I've got left. Oh. Okay. So I think we're back to making yellow science packs. Yeah. Jeez. So that 30-something thousand didn't last very long, did it? Okay, how we doing up here? All the labs are running, which is perfect. Okay. These robot frames. Oh my God. Oh, Lord. I didn't limit these robot frames either. I've got 14,000 robot frames in inventory. Well, I guess if I need more bots, I'll just make them over here rather than bring them from the starter base. In fact, I think I will throw in some more bots. We're still getting close to hitting 0. I don't think I'm going to take the time to put in more power. Right? I mean, we're kind of at the limit, but I mean, we're not at the limit that we expect, but we're at the limit that the physics and these reactor designs will handle, as you can see. But our accumulator charge is holding steady, so I think as long as that's the case, I'm not going to worry about adding more power since we're not planning to expand any further at this point. Okay, always check the mini-map before you cross a track. That's what I tell myself. Okay. There goes another rocket. Okay. Well, I've got 10,000 of the military science. I think I'll go put some more speed modules on those. Because all the belts are backed up. And what's the point of having backed up belts when I could be making more stuff with it? I hate to see idle machines. That's part of the reason why it's like that. I want to see how fast I'm consuming nuclear fuel. All right. So right now we're consuming about 29 nuclear fuel per minute. And it looks like the processing of the empty fuel cells is keeping up. Okay, because the requester chests are nearly empty. So we're doing okay there. But at, what was it? At 21 a minute, 28 a minute, whatever it was. And I've got 3.2 thousand pieces of uranium. That would give me 32,000, no, more than that. 32,000 fuel cells times 1.4 because I've got productivity modules. So that's 44,800 pieces of nuclear fuel just with what I have now. And at 28 a minute, that's about 26 hours. Okay, so if I ran out of fuel, or if I ran out of uranium ore right now, we could run for another 26 hours before we would run out of fuel for the reactors. There we go. Speed these up a little bit. Okay, we've got, yeah, 10,000. So this can go a little bit faster. I could always add more machines too, but let's not complicate things too much. There's not a big hurry for that. And in fact, at this point, being as tight on power as I am, I think I would prefer not to increase my turret range, because when I do that, I'm going to start hitting a lot of bases and I'm going to be getting lots of attacks, which is going to increase my power consumption. So, yeah, so I would say I wouldn't do that research until I have more power, if I was going to add more power. Okay, well, I think that's about it for now. I can't think of anything else really that I want to tweak. Seems like we're getting iron and steel and everything quickly enough. I probably shouldn't say it. I probably shouldn't say that out loud, because you know what'll happen next, but we're mining just about everything that we can inside the base. We do have one more iron patch that we could take advantage of, but there's not much there. It wouldn't make a big difference. Oil, yeah. We've got coal here that we can add to this station if we need more coal. But yeah, so that's about it. Yeah, look at this. All these trains full of ore just waiting to be needed. One thing I did, I don't think I discussed this before. On the inputs to all these iron using stations, I wired up the signals. And I wired them up so that they'll only turn green if I have less than a train's worth of iron ore in the station. All right, so that way the ore trains will only go to the stations that really need it. Why isn't this one? Oh, okay. Oh, that's fine. I thought it was trying to get in, but it's coming out. Yeah. Because what I was finding is that with so many of these stations, that just allowing these guys to naturally balance themselves out was not working very well. So by only opening up the ones that need more iron, then it helps to make sure that the iron is going where it's really needed. You know, instead of just having like a train visit the same 2 or 3 stations all the time, what I was seeing is that the trains they would go into a station and then they would just sit there because it would take so long to empty because all the chests were full. And so I would always have like 3 or 4 stations that always had trains sitting there with ore that it didn't really need, and then other stations would be completely empty. So this way it just helps with to even out the distribution. Okay, and we have a lot of trains waiting to go in for copper plate. So copper I think is where we're starting to run low. Yeah, so we might need to add another copper patch. Let's see how these are doing. Yeah, see, that one's waiting for mining, so adding more trains to that is probably not going to help. This one is waiting for mining as well. So adding more trains there is not really going to help. That's for the starter base. Yeah, so we might need to add another copper outpost over here. So we can get some more copper ore coming in. Seems like it's a little bit too slow. see copper's down. Oh, I just delivered some. We're at 17K. 16. Yeah, and there's no copper trains waiting here. So I think that's going to be our next bottleneck. So maybe before the last episode, I'll add another copper mine. That won't take too long to do. And then we'll do a base tour. If you guys have anything in specific that you would like me to discuss during the base tour, please leave me a comment. Otherwise, it'll just be kind of a quick rundown of what we built and where we started and everything. But like I said, if there's anything in particular that you want me to go over in more detail, let me know and I'd be happy to do that. All right. Well, thanks a lot for watching, everybody. We'll see you next time. Bye-bye.